Welcome to Sports Talk with RJ. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin and Afrio. And Week 17 ended last night. Busy show today. College football playoff got a big Week 18. But we're going to start with Week 17 ending last night as the Falcons beat the Rams 27-24. A great game by Bijan Robinson. He had almost 200 yards rushing. Kirk Cousins played well again. He's played well. Listen, he's played well this year since he's filled in. He really has led another game-winning drive. So I think the big reason why he struggled last year because he was hurt. I think that was a big reason why. And I think this year he's going to get himself on another roster with the way he's been playing. But last night the big story though was Matthew Stafford throwing three picks, one pick six to Jesse Bates, and the two things with the Rams. One, how concerned are you about the Rams going to the playoffs? And number two, did Stafford lose the MVP last night? And for me, I'm not totally concerned with the Rams. I still think they have, I still have them as my favorite, even though they're not gonna win the division. I still have them as my favorite coming out of the NFC. I still do, and I know they had a couple offensive linemen out there. I think when healthy, they're still the best team in the NFC, even though they have 5 losses. So I'm not totally concerned about that. But number two, I would say, did Stafford lose the MVP last night? I think he absolutely did. I think Drake May is going to be the MVP of this league. I think there's no doubt about it. I think he's going to be the MVP with the performance he had in Week 17 and the performance Matthew Stafford had last night. I think he definitely lost the MVP last night. I think Drake May is going to get it.
For me, number one with the Rams, I'm a little concerned. Back to back, last night, obviously they get out to such a slow start. They get down 21-0, dig themselves a hole, get out of it. The Thursday night game, they blow a big lead to Seattle, a game you never should have lost. We saw them blow a lead too against Carolina. We saw them blow the big lead against the Eagles. Like, this team's lost quite a few games of blowing leads, and defense again kind of struggled last night. They couldn't stop the run, so. Look, it's wide open in both conferences right now. Would I be shocked if the Rams get there? No, but I've been high on the Rams, most of this year, and been high on them getting back to the Super Bowl. I've been cooler on them for the first time in quite a while after the game last night. But again, who else do you trust in that conference? So I still think they still have as good a chance as anybody. But I'm a little concerned right now. And I'm agree with you too here with Stafford. I do think he blew his MVP last night. 3 interceptions against a bad Falcons defense was. I know he played a little bit better in the offense, got going second half. I know he has had Adams the last couple of weeks, but I think he did end up blowing it last night. Throw 3 interceptions in a game where you still need to win. You still had an outside. You still blows. It's a bad loss to Atlanta team that I guess now does have something to play for next week. But it's a game you never should have lost unless I know he played well in Seattle and the defense was more fault in that one, but not a great game for Stafford last night.
No, not at all. And I think it's obvious. I think it's obvious that he has lost the MVP, and the Rams, blew a chance to win. They pretty much don't have really any shot to win the NFC West. I mean, they didn't really either. It didn't really either because coming into the game because the Niners won on Sunday night. But really, their chances of winning the NFC West are over. Yeah, he definitely lost the MVP. 3 picks and didn't get them down the field to tie the game last night. Yeah, he missed a guy wide open. And then that last drive. So yeah, Stafford. There's no question that Stafford definitely blew a chance to definitely I think ended his MVP hopes. I think the MVP is going to go to Drake May. I'm pretty convinced. I'm definitely convinced of that. But speaking of the NFC West, we got a huge matchup on Saturday night. I know Panthers. We'll get to Panthers Bucks. It'll start Week 18. We got a huge matchup on Saturday night between the Niners and the Seahawks, and this is a rematch of a game from Week 1 that the Niners won. But in this game, it's going to depend on if Kittle and Trent Williams are healthy. It really is. It's going to depend on that because that could be huge in this game if they play or not. I mean, Purdy came back against the Bears defense without those guys, but the Seahawks defense is a different animal. This is a top 3 defense in the league. Sam Darnold has played really well as well. So I think this is a close competitive game. There were 2 things to look at in this game. 2 things to look at is Brock Purdy. Since he's came back, 19 total touchdowns, 5 INTs. This Niners offense has been rolling since came back. They've scored over 40 points 3 times since he's came back. So this Niners offense is rolling. And then the Seahawks, they haven't in their last 5 games, they haven't scored more than 10 points and a half. So they've been getting off to slow starts on offense. They've been better in the second half, but they've gotten off to slow starts on offense. And I think that happens this week. But I think What happens, though, is the Seahawks defense contains the Niners offense. And then I think Sam Darnold makes a comeback. I think he makes a comeback, and I think he leads a game-winning drive. And that's why I think Seattle wins the division. I got Seattle winning the NFC West. I got them winning the division, beating the Niners 27-24. I'm going to go with the team with the better defense here. I'm going to go with the team with the better defense to win the division. I got Seattle beating the Niners 27-24. But Justin, can the Niners win their 7th in a row and get back to winning the NFC West and get back to having the top seed in the NFC?
No, I'm with you. I got the Seahawks as well, 20-24. I think the Niners are keep it close. I think Purdy plays pretty well this week. I'm with you. It's big if they can get Trent Williams and George Kittle back this week, and Brock Purdy's been playing out of his mind. It was the first time last week that the Niners punted like 3 games. So, Niners also been rolling since Purdy's gotten back, and he's played really good football. But on the other side of the ball, their defense is, those injuries are really starting to take effect now, and their defense hasn't been able to get the field much the last couple of weeks. And we saw 45-year-old Philip Rivers go up and down the field against them a week and a half ago. Caleb Williams, that offense couldn't be stopped last week. So I know Sam Darnold hasn't played well, but I do think he plays decent this week. It's the San Francisco defense. I think that's the difference. And I got Seattle winning the division, getting that 1 seed.
Yeah, I agree. And really the big question is which team needs this game more, Seattle, or the Seahawks and the Niners? I'm going to say the Niners because if the Niners win this game, they'll be at home. If they keep winning, they'll be at home for the entire postseason, the divisional round, the conference championship game, and the Super Bowl. So if the Niners win this game, they'll be at home for the entire postseason. So I'm actually going to say now I think both teams really need it because we saw what happened to Sam Darnold last year when he lost. When he had a chance to get the number 1 seed, lost that Sunday night game against the Lions. Then they lost. They got bounced in the first round. So I think both teams really need it, but I would say because Seattle has restored their home field advantage as well at CenturyLink. They've restored their home field advantage. But I think both teams really need it. But I would say the Niners need it a little bit more.
I'm with you. I have the Niners as well because with all the injuries, I know there's a outside chance that they could get Fred Warner back in the NFC Championship game. That means you only got to win 1 game to get there. Where in all these injuries that they have on defense, if you get somebody like Warner back on that side of the field will help. Having the home field advantage would be huge for this group, and just to get a little bit healthier, get a week off. So I think it's bigger for the Niners. I know about Sam Darnold's struggles and all that. But Seattle feels like they've played better on the road this year than they have at home. I know that's going to be such a tough atmosphere if they get the 1 seed and they're playing at home, but Seattle's been awesome too, away from home. So I just think the Niners with the injuries, the outside chain to get Fred Warner back, and if you could, and that defense has been a problem, but you can at least play them at home. You feel obviously better about your chances.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do. Yeah, you definitely feel better about your chances if you get them at home. Then you do. Especially both teams definitely need this game. But as you said, the injuries I think affect the Niners going on the road. It's going to be hard for them to win 3 games on the road with the way, and their defense is decent, but it's not close to what it would be if they had Fred Warner or Nick Bosa. You can't say those aren't huge losses. They're still huge losses. So I would say if you're the Niners, it's going to be very difficult for the Niners to win 3 road games. A defense can travel in the postseason. We've seen many times with the Giants, with the Steelers, with the Ravens. We've seen defenses travel in the postseason. So the Seahawks defense could travel. The Seahawks could win road games because of their defense. And the Seahawks are great on the road. They've only lost 1 road game all year. So the Seahawks play better on the road than the Niners. So I definitely think the Niners need this win more.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything you said. It's a huge game for the Niners, and I think they need a bit more than Seattle. So it'd be huge because I don't see that 49er team going 3 straight games on the road and being able to make a run. With Seattle, I could see a little bit more. I think it's a little bit better of a chance, but again, it is Sam Darnold, so that team. They have the second most turnovers in the sport. They've given up 20 turnovers, and they're still sitting here maybe getting a 1 seed. Like that's I don't remember a team ever having that. No. That defense has been that good to be able to bail them out. So that defense might bail out to Sam Darnold, a bad Sam Darnold game, but I feel a little bit better in Seattle because of that defense.
Yeah, and the Seahawks offense, they've struggled in the first half. They've really struggled in the first half of games. But again, their defense has played at the top 3 level. Mike McDonald's done a great job with that defense. So yeah, the Seahawks defense. Yeah, the thing is for one of these teams to have success, especially in this game, Purdy. If say in this game that Purdy could outplay Darnold, and the Niners could still lose. There's no way that if Darnold outplays Purdy, that the Seahawks will lose this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that because yeah, because Darnold, yeah, because we expect Darnold to play pretty well against the San Francisco defense right now. The way they're just so banged up right now, and if Purdy can go out there and torch the Seattle defense that's been so good all year, then yeah, that puts him in a great spot to win the game. So I agree with you there.
Absolutely. That is definitely the case. So we will move on to the NFC South, and this now with the Falcons winning last night, this does not decide the division. Now, if the Panthers win, they win the division, but if the Bucs win, they will need Atlanta to lose on Sunday at home against the Saints to win the division. Seeing how poorly the Bucs have been playing, they've lost seven of their last 8 games, which is crazy. And yeah, the Buccaneers have really struggled. Baker Mayfield in his last 4 games, 6 touchdowns, 5 INTs. He has many touchdowns as interceptions. I don't think he's right. I think he got hurt in the Rams game. He just hasn't been right ever since because he's really struggled. Because he's gotten guys back. Bucky Irving, Mike, guys have came back and he's continued to struggle. And they've lost the teams. They should have, look at the last 4 games they've lost. They've lost the teams they should never be. They lost at home to the Saints. At home, they lost 3 games in the division in a row, and they lost the Dolphins last week. So this team is not playing well at all. The Panthers have just been up and down all year. Bryce Young has been up and down all year. So for this game, I think it's ugly. I think it's competitive, but I'm going to go with the quarterback that has played better recently. And I know Bryce Young's not a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield, but recently he's played better because I think he's the more healthier quarterback, and I think he leads the game-winning drive, and I think he gets the Panthers to the playoffs for the first time since 2017 in Cam Newton. It'll be the first time in 8 years that the Carolina Panthers will be in the postseason. First time since Cam Newton in 2017. So I think Bryce Young takes them to the playoffs for the first time, and I got the Panthers winning this game against the Bucs 23-20. But Justin, can the Bucs get revenge from Week 16 and get their 5th straight division title and make their 6th straight playoff appearance?
No, I'm with you here. I got Carolina 21-18. I know people get mad about the G5 being the college football playoffs and all that. Can the NFL seed 1 through 7? Because neither of these teams deserve a home game. Like, if we're going to get on the college football playoff, let's get on the NFL here, too. It is ridiculous that one of these 2 teams is going to host. And even whoever went Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
I know, yeah.
Seed 1 through 7.
Could you imagine if your Patriots that didn't win the division had to go to, like, Pittsburgh in a wild card game? You probably would be so upset, yeah.
Yeah. Like, last year, the Detroit, Minnesota, they're both 14-2 going that game. The loser had to go on the road. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So for me, and so there's that. But I'm with you. This Bucs team's a mess right now, and that only game that they've won, they beat Arizona, who's lost 13-14. And they won by 3.
Yeah.
So this Tampa Bay team's been a mess recently. You're right. Baker just has not played well. So I'm going to take Carolina. I'm going to take Carolina to be able to run the football better. I think Bryce Young takes a little bit better care of the football in this one. And I'm going to take Carolina. I don't trust either 2 of these teams. I think either one of these 2 teams gets probably run out of the field next week in the wild card round. But I'll take Carolina to get in the playoffs and host.
Yeah. I mean, if you had a choice, you're taking Carolina. That's why I'm taking Carolina too. I think it's going to be an ugly game, but I think Carolina's going to win. But now let's get to the Bucs and let's get to Todd Bowles. And should the Bucs lose this game, should they move on from Todd Bowles? And I would say absolutely. Todd Bowles has got to be fired if they lose this game. To have this kind of collapse, Todd Bowles has absolutely got to be fired if they lose this game.
Oh, absolutely. Because they played better they played better when all the guys were out injured. I know Baker's been injured, and that's a big part of it. And then, like, that disgraceful loss they had a couple weeks ago on Thursday Night Football against Atlanta. Like, there's no reason he should have lost that football game. That was just poor game management by Bulls. So I'm with you. I think he's got to go if they lose this football game in the collapse, and it would be time for a new voice in that locker room.
Oh, it absolutely would be. There's no question. It would be time for a voice and then there'd be a new voice if they lose this game. There's no question. And another one is, should the Bucs move on from Baker if they lose? And I would say absolutely not. I'd say no way they should move on from Baker because I don't think he's 100%. I don't think Baker's 100%. For the last 2.5, 3 years he's been the Bucs quarterback, he's been pretty good. He's been a top 15 quarterback, and he's got 1 more year left on his deal. So I'd say absolutely not. I think even if you fire Todd Bowles, you still got to keep Baker Mayfield.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah, because he hasn't been right. And when he was right, he was sitting right there in the MVP candidate. So the only way you'd move on from him is if you know the 100% you go get Joe Burrow. That's the only chance I would. That's
Yeah,
the only way I would move on for Baker Mayfield. I keep him around it because he's been a really good quarterback for him. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't move on from him yet.
yeah. There's no way to me I'd move on from Baker Mayfield. And here's one for the Panthers. Should Bryce Young get an extension, a contract extension, if they win this game? And I would say no. He'd have to. I'd say he has to at least get to. I'd say he has to at least get to the conference championship game. The Panthers have to get to the conference. He has to lead the Panthers to the conference championship game for him to get an extension after the season. Yes. Has he been improved? Yeah. But he's still been up and down. He's still been very up and down this year. He's still lost 2 games to the Saints. Even though the Saints have played better, he still lost 2 games to the Saints this year. 1 game where they scored 7 points. So I would say no. I would say no. I'm not, even if they will have to at least win a playoff game for me to give Bryce Young an extension.
Yeah, I'm with you. Because there's only been 3 games this year when he's thrown over for 200 yards. Like that's not a franchise guy you want to be putting, a big contract extension behind. So, yeah, he's got to go on the road and be able to kind of put his arm, have a couple of big games in the playoffs for me to really say that the Panthers should make a long-term investment in him. Dave Klaus has done a nice job of improving him from where he was his rookie year, but I still think he still has a little ways to go for Carolina to make a long-term investment in him right now. Last week he was 14 for 24, 54 yards. He wasn't the reason they, he was awful.
And if he plays well, and that's a game where I know they played Seattle, is a top defense, but if you play well in that game, you could win the division. You blew an opportunity there.
Because the defense gave him a chance to win that game in the first half. I know the second half he got away from him, but there was a chance to win that game. The only touchdown they scored was off of a turnover too. So yeah, he was bad last week. And yeah, you mentioned the Saints game where he lost twice to Saints. So he only scored 9 points against the Niners, and we've really seen that Niners defense the last couple of weeks be a disaster. So I'm with you. I think he's got a long way to go, and he's got to have a couple really good playoff games for me to really say he deserves the contract.
Yeah, I agree. So should be an interesting game Saturday afternoon. This is the game that kicks off Week 18. Now it's not. If the Panthers win, they do get the division, but for the Bucs, they'll need the Falcons to lose to the Saints. And speaking of that game, the Falcons and Saints, they kick off. They play on Sunday, and I think the Saints pull the upset here. I think because the Falcons have played up and down to competition all year, I think the Saints pull the upset. I think Tyler Shuck goes into the offseason winning 5 in a row, and this is an underrated quarterback class. With Jackson Dart, with Tyler Shuck and Cam Ward, this is an underrated class. This year. Everybody said this wasn't a great quarterback class. I think this is an underrated class. So I'm going to go with the Saints in the upset. I'm going to go with Kellen Moore and Tyler Shuck going into the offseason with 5 straight wins.
Yeah, I got Atlanta here 23-18, but I'm with you. I think you're right about the quarterback class. Yeah, it wasn't how to be a great one, but so far the 3 first rounders have improved this year throughout the year, and Saints look like they found one in this one. But I'm taking Atlanta still having the outside chance now to get in the playoffs here.
Atlanta wouldn't get in. They would just force a 3-way tie, and Carolina would get in. So what would happen is in the NFC South, if Carolina wins, it's over. Sunday doesn't matter. But if Tampa wins, they need the Saints to win. So for me, seeing where I mean, both of us took the Panthers, but say the Bucs win. If what I think is going to happen in the Saints Falcons game happens, the Bucs will win the division. If you think what's going to happen in this game happens, the Panthers will win the division.
Yeah. So I still think Carolina does it when it. I should have said if somehow if they still have a shot on Sunday, I do think Bijan Robinson kind of goes out there and is able to lead the way here in this one, but they are eliminated Saturday. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose this game with the way the Saints are playing. But coming off the Monday night game, I thought Atlanta played pretty well, and I do think they still have a shot going to Sunday. I do think they find a win this game, but I'm with you. I don't think it's likely, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll see. It should be a good game between the two teams, though. But to recap, if the Bucs win, the Bucs will need Atlanta to lose to get into the playoffs. And say the Panthers lose, they'll need the Saints they'll need Atlanta to win for them to get into the playoffs. A little confusing, but that's how this thing with the Falcons getting hot. That's how this thing's been going with the Falcons getting hot.
Yeah, and you could say like these are the two best teams in the AFC South the way they've been playing the last
That's
2
the thing.
months or
These
so.
two teams are actually playing better than the two
Yeah.
teams that are playing for the NFC that are still alive in the NFC South, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, the Saints are playing like the best team in that division right now. So
Yeah.
it's a good time for Kellen Moore and company, which that's on a great roster, but think they've done a nice job. And Chuck's been good. So maybe the future's bright. I know they still got a ton of cap trouble right now, but if they figure that out and they could draft, hey, this division, you never know in this division.
Even though he's older, he's 26. It looks like they could have their guy. The Saints could have their guy. They could have been smart. They could be smart passing on Shador because we ripped him. I ripped him for taking this guy and not taking Shuck and not taking Shador. But it has seemed to work out for them this year. But moving on to the AFC North, and we got the game of the week in the AFC North between the Steelers and the Ravens. This is the Sunday night game between these two teams. We don't know the status of Lamar Jackson. We know one thing: DK Metcalf won't be playing this game, and he pretty much cost him the game last week for not being there, for getting in that fight in the stands. The team was red hot. He didn't need to get in a fight in the stands, so I think he cost him the game last week for just going into the stands. But in this game, I think Lamar is going to play. Now, what is he going to be like? He hasn't been right all year, pretty much. But I think the Ravens are going to do what they did last week. Run the ball with Derrick Henry. You're going to have another humongous game with Derrick Henry. I think he goes for over 100 yards. I think Aaron Rodgers moves the ball, but I think he makes mistakes. I think not having DK is going to hurt him. And I think it's a close competitive game. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I'm going with the Ravens 27-20 over the Steelers. But Justin, can the Steelers get a sweep and get their first AFC North title since 2020?
I think they do. I got the Steelers in this one 18-17.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought about it, and every time we kind of count out Tomlin and like he loses a game like he did on Sunday, always feels like the Steelers come back and find a way to win next week. And now the last 5 games Pittsburgh's played against a team that has a record of at least 8 games under 500. They're 0-4-1, which is insane, but it's no problem. But I do think in the Steelers last week were more concerned about Myles Garrett getting the sack record than they were of winning the actual football game. I think Aaron Rodgers bounces back this week. I think they play a little bit better. I think they get some semblance of run game, and then with the Ravens, even if Lamar plays, he hasn't been totally healthy of late. And again, do they like? I know it worked last week, but with running ball, but like, will they continue? Will they stick with it? If they do, I could see this team going to Super Bowl. I just don't trust them to do it right now. So I'm going to take the Steelers to win this week. In a close, ugly football game, and I'm going to take Rodgers and potentially maybe his last game here on Sunday. But I'm going to say he's got at least one more football game in him.
Yeah, and this leads to my next point, and we'll start with Rodgers. Is this it for Aaron Rodgers? If the Steelers lose, this it for Rodgers? And I think it is. I think it's it for Rodgers. If they lose this game, I think he's done. I think he's going to retire because he'll go back to a team next year that's probably going to be the same thing. Probably going to be 9-8 again. So I think if he loses this game, he hangs it up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it is age. He's played decent this year, but I think if you come back to Pittsburgh next year, it's another meddling 8 or 9 win team like they usually are in Pittsburgh the last handful of years. So I'm with you. I think this would be it for him because I don't know how many other teams would be interested in the services next year.
I don't think so. Right now, it's not bad. He's an average to above average quarterback. He's a 41. He's in his 40s. He definitely didn't play like Brady did in his 40s. That's for sure. Brady was an MVP candidate in his 40s and won a Super Bowl MVP in his 40s. So yeah, he didn't play like Brady did, but yeah, he's an average to above average quarterback. So I think this is it. If the Steelers lose this game, this will be Aaron Rodgers' last game. Now, for the head coach of the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, who's been there for 19 years. Is this going to be his last game as Steelers head coach if they lose? And I'm going to say no. I just don't think they fire him. I don't think they do. I think they keep, even though the fans want him fired after the Bills game, I think they keep him around. I'm going to say no. I think that he stays on as head coach because the Steelers just don't fire coaches. And I think he stays on as head coach even if the Steelers lose.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the only way he goes if he steps down himself and goes takes another job, which I I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't think the Steelers, yeah, because I'm with you. The Steelers don't fire head coaches, and I think the only way they'd fire him if this team ends up going like 3 or 14, which under Tomlin, I don't think is ever going to happen. So I'm with you. I don't think they're going to fire him if they lose this football game.
Yeah, I think the Steelers. I think Tomlin remains the head coach if they get fired. But the second most, Tomlin is the most tenured coach in the league. The second most tenured coach in the league is Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh. I mean, and he's been the head coach of the Ravens for 18 years. And the question really is if the Ravens lose this game, is this good? Is Harbaugh done as head coach? And I'm going to say yes. I think if the Ravens lose this, he is done. Seeing what happened in that Patriot game, seeing the fact that he did not have Derrick Henry on the field in the fourth quarter of that Patriot game. And then you saw how well he played after that. So seeing how well he played, seeing how well Henry played last week and not having him on the field at the end of that game, I think this is it. I think if they lose this game, if the Ravens lose this game, I think that this is it for John Harbaugh.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it would be time to move on from him. I think, kind of we talked a little bit last week who's a better option than him, but like I just think they need a new voice. The way, yeah, you mentioned it, like the way they lost that Patriot game, not having Henry on the field the last 12 minutes of the game, him and Todd Monken, or at least somehow Harbaugh stays on. They should fire Todd Monken because that's the OC. Because yeah, to have not have Henry in the field the last 12 minutes of that Patriot game, and then what you did last week, and you finally, because I've been saying that for a couple of weeks, like just feed Henry the ball 40 times. They finally did it, and I think with how wide open the AFC is, if they somehow make the playoffs and they do that for 3 straight weeks, I think this team could be in the Super Bowl. I just don't trust this coaching staff to be able to realize that. So I'm with you. I think it'd be a new time for a new voice in the locker room.
And here's the thing: who would have ever thought we'd say with a John Harbaugh team, we don't trust this coaching staff, and that is exactly why if they lose, he has to go because his message runs stale. Also, there's a reported rift with Lamar Jackson. There's also a reported rift with Lamar Jackson, and he's been asked about his future, Harbaugh, and he's not definitively said yes. So, and there's this reported rift with Lamar Jackson going on. So, this leads me to my next point. Will Lamar Jackson be a Raven at the start of the 2026 season? And I think yes. I think he will be. I think he will be. I just don't think they're going to move on from a two-time. I don't think the Ravens will move on from a two-time MVP. If they were going to move on from someone, they're going to move on from a coach who's been there 18 years. And yes, he won the one Super Bowl, but he hasn't been to a Super Bowl in over a decade. I think they're gonna side with if there is a rift, they're gonna side with the two-time MVP. And I would be very surprised if Lamar wasn't a Raven at the start of the 2026 season.
Yeah, I think he'd still be a Raven. I'm with you. I know the availability's kind of been in question at times throughout his career, just being on the field, and I think it. I don't want to say he's like I don't think he's faking it, but he got kneed in the back in the Patriot game in a do or die game. I know that doesn't feel great, but doesn't it be a great look if he can't? At least he can't give it a go.
But he didn't sit. He didn't play that. He sat out the next game. But you got a point. Who knows? With the season on the line, and we don't know if he's going to play this week. And he didn't. And really, he hasn't had a full week of practice since the beginning of November. So that is a good point there.
Yeah, like I think that's the big thing, but that's the other thing. Like if a team really wanted Lamar, he's a great quarterback within the field, but like with the availability concerns that you have, you're really gonna give up everything you got for him. I know that talent's there. But it just I could see Miami do it because it's Miami. And I know he's from there, like Atlanta, but because didn't Atlanta try, but when he's a free agent a couple years ago, but
they tried to Atlanta got in trouble. He wanted out before he got that contract.
Yeah. So I mean that's another thing too. So I think he sticks around in Baltimore. But maybe if Harbaugh's still there, maybe he's the one to go. But I think it's more likely I'm with you that Harbaugh goes in Lamar.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I think you don't move on from a two-time MVP. I know that Harbaugh is a great coach, but if there is a rift, I think they are going to side with the two-time MVP and not the head coach. So Harbaugh will be available, and I would love it. Listen, if Harbaugh becomes available, that should be the Giants' first call to go get John Harbaugh. That should be the first call the Giants make. They definitely should get John Harbaugh. Should be the Giants' head coach. But we'll get to the Giants about keeping the GM in. But yeah, if John Harbaugh is available, he should be the Giants' next head coach. But yeah, I think that if the Ravens lose, I think that Harbaugh is done, and I think that Lamar will still be the quarterback of the Ravens next year. Now, the Pats host Pats won for the first time in 2019. They won the division, uh, virtue of the Bills losing to the Eagles last week. But they still have a chance at the number one seed. They take on the Broncos this week, but there is a recent distraction that they have to deal with as their top wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, is facing strangulation and assault charges from an incident on December 2nd. Now, from the article from Mike Reese, they're saying that the Patriots are aware of the accusations that have been made regarding Stephon Diggs, and Stephon has informed the organization that he categorically denies the allegations, and the Patriots say they're supporting him. So there is a chance that he could be on the field for the Patriots, on Sunday and even through the postseason. But I could see the league stepping in and doing something about the situation.
Yeah, I totally could. Obviously we don't have any evidence yet or anything, so we're just kind of going on with the report. So yeah, if there's evidence and that he did this, and yeah, absolutely, the league and the Patriots should step in and should definitely suspend him. So yeah, to all that, I know like he'd be arranged, and his arrangement in court right now is January 23rd, which is 2 days before the AFC Championship game. So again, the Patriots have to get there first, but so that could be an issue for the Patriots if he's not able to go, but they could get there. But yeah, it's obviously we'll see what happens in the coming days with evidence and all that. But yeah, the league, if there's something comes out in the next couple of days, yeah, the league, and just evidence wise, the league definitely should suspend them. And the Patriots is usually Kraft and the organization's pretty good about that. And I think it's kind of big for Vrabel how he does handle this, because it's kind of the first big thing that he's had here in New England, and kind of sends a message to the rest of the team of how you handle this case. So Vrabel's been great all year. I think he'll handle this the right way, and I think the organization will, because they usually do in these types of circumstances in the past. So I think they'll handle it the right way and make the appropriate decision.
Yeah, I think yeah, this is going to be. We'll see what decision they make. We'll see what decision they make. But if these accusations are true, I think Stephon Diggs is done with the Patriots. I think that's it. I mean, I think he's done if these accusations end up being true, because he's denying the accusations to the team.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I absolutely, they should get out. They should definitely get rid of them. You're building this culture, and the culture has really changed this year. But yeah, this is not a guy. If these charges are true, he's absolutely not a guy that you want in your locker room. Especially when you're on a postseason run. You hope, and you don't want somebody like that in the locker room. You don't want that get cancer like that in the locker room. So absolutely, Patriots should move on if these charges end up, or if they are true.
Yeah, they definitely should move on if they're true. But we will move on to their game against the Dolphins this week, and I think they win this, and I think Drake May has another big game. Those 2 or 3 touchdown passes. I think they force a couple turnovers from Quinn Ewers. I think they win this by double digits, and they'll be scoreboard watching to see what happens in Denver. Even though there's a good chance Denver won't win their game because Trey Lance is starting instead of Justin Herbert. Denver. There's a good chance Denver will win their game because Trey Lance is starting instead of Justin Herbert. But they'll be scoreboard watching. But I think the Patriots make Denver play the entire game, and I think they beat the Dolphins 30-17. But Justin, can the Dolphins get revenge for week 2 and ruin the past chances to get the 1 seed?
No, I got the Patriots as well here, 20-13. Yeah, they're gonna need a miracle at this point to get that 1 seed. But yeah, the Jets really peeled the Patriots last week with some of the shenanigans. The roughing the passer on Drake May.
Yeah.
Then they had kind of the hit on Barmore when he's on the ground. I was like, noticing
Yeah.
the Jets kind of tackled him when he's on the ground. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't. Vrabel was not happy with the way the Jets were doing some things there in the second half. So I expect this Patriots team to come out angry and keep the foot on the gas this week and get off to another fast start like they've done all year, because that felt Sunday like Alabama playing like Kent State. Like that was
the Jets were god awful. The Jets were terrible. Yeah. And Vrabel, if that was Belichick coaching, he would have put up like 63 points on the Jets. He would have won that thing like 63-10.
He did it a couple years ago against the Jets. He punched one in with like a minute and a half left.
I know. Yeah.
I kind of wish Vrabel did that, but it's better to keep Drake May healthy and the rest of the starters for this run here. But I think the Pats take care of business. In Miami, it's going to be cold out, so I don't expect Dolphins to play great, and I expect them to be already looking ahead to the offseason.
Yeah. The Dolphins, they never play well in the cold. Yeah, this should be a win for the Patriots, and they should secure at least the number 2 seed in the playoffs. And just assuming Denver wins and they are the number 2 seed, which team would you think would be their best matchup in the first round? Between the Bills, the Texans, the Jags, or the Chargers. Which one of those 4 teams would you want to see come to Foxborough the second week of January?
This is tough because I don't want to see any of them, but I
Yeah.
went with the Chargers because they're too often the tackles are out, and I know the Patriots pass rush has been non-existent, but maybe you can get some semblance of a pass rush. And we've seen Justin Herbert in the postseason. Um, we saw that come back. So we haven't seen a ton of Herbert. It's Herbert played really well last year. It's a different team now, but with the injuries the Chargers have, I feel like that's the best one because that Texans pass rush against our offensive line,
Ooh.
that would be scary. Yeah.
That defense would be scary. That defense would have, and
Yeah.
Stroud's better. Even though you probably say Herbert overall is a better quarterback, Stroud has been better. You saw it last year when they played in the first round. Stroud has been a better playoff quarterback than Justin Herbert. So yeah, I actually agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. It's the Chargers team that doesn't play. It's a warm weather. They're kind of built to be a cold weather team because they run the ball. They run the ball well with Harbaugh, but still a team that plays in LA. And the 2 tackles is the big one. The 2 tackles is the big one. And Herbert's postseason struggles are the big one. Herbert's postseason struggles. The two tackles and Herbert's postseason struggles. So yeah, I would say the Chargers. Now the team you probably at least would want to see is the Bills. I'd say the Bills. And then Jags, Texans, I think are pretty even. But I think it's pretty obvious. The team you don't want to see in the first round is the Bills. It was the Bills. And then the team you want to see in the first round, and the team you would probably prefer to see the most, even though you don't prefer to play Jim Harbaugh, the team you prefer to play the most is the Chargers.
Yeah, absolutely, I would be. I would definitely want to see the Chargers. Yeah, because and Harbaugh's a great coach, but yeah, like there's all the injuries that they have. The Herbert struggled in the playoffs. You feel good about them having to come East Coast. Maybe it's a short. Maybe they get the Saturday game too. It's a short week for LA, having to come east. Like that could be an advantage too for the Patriots. So yeah, I kind of like that because the Bills. I don't like what I saw last week from the Bills again. Like I know they have Josh Allen, but like man, they somehow they somehow lose the game where even gave up 11 yards.
There's no way they should have went for 2 there. There's no way they should have went for 2. That was the special teams hurt them missing the kicker, and there's no way McDermott should have went for 2.
Yeah, and I know Allen hasn't been great. He's 0 for 4 on the road in the postseason, but I still just don't want to see Josh Allen. And with that Texans pass rush, I don't want to see them. And the way Jacksonville playing in that defense and the way they could stop the run and they can make the Patriots one dimensional. Would not be a great feeling, even though I know the Jags, they've been one of the hottest teams in the league too. So like that's not a team I'd rather see. Definitely the Chargers right now.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think you definitely want to see the Chargers. But speaking of the Chargers, we'll move on to the Chargers and the Broncos this week. Broncos win the game; they lock up the number 1 seed, and I think they do pretty easily because with Trey Lance starting, I think he throws a couple picks against that defense. I think the Broncos are Bro Nick's able to have a pretty good game here. I think the Broncos win. I think they cruise here. Even though Jim Harbaugh has had success against Sean Payton since he's been in Denver, he's 3-0. I think that ends on Sunday because the Chargers are resting Justin Herbert. I got the Broncos here 30-10 over the Chargers. But Justin, can the Chargers ruin the Broncos' chances to get the number 1 seed?
No, I got the Broncos. I got them 2013 or 14. I think now because Lance is going to be in there, and it's I sent you the scores before I knew the Chargers were resting everybody, so I could see this thing being more than like a 1-score game. I know Trey Lance is a decent backup. Maybe he can make a couple plays, but against that Denver defense, we just mentioned their 2 offensive tackles being out. I think it could be a long day for Trey Lance. I think that Denver defense could after him, and I think it could be a long day. And I do think Bo Nix and that offense do cruise to a victory here, and they get the number 1 and clinch the 1 seed.
All righty, we got a matchup in Buffalo between the Jets and the Bills. Who knows if the Bills are going to play? We don't know if the Bills are going to play their starters in this game because they could sit Josh Allen in this. They might play their starters and just sit Josh Allen in this game. Yeah, they could play like a Mitch Trubisky they could play a Mitch Trubisky in this game and still win. And I think they do. I think they win this one. Even if they play Mitch Trubisky, they win it going away because the Jets are absolutely terrible. I got them winning 27-13. Justin, I assume you got the same.
Yeah, I got 27-10 this week. Jets are the first team in the Super Bowl era to lose 4 straight games by at least 23 points. It's just insane.
Wow. I remember there was a stretch the Giants had Joe Judge's last year. They lost 6 straight games by double digits. So 4 straight games by at least 23 points. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's bad. And do you know who their leading receiver is still in the year?
Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, he hasn't played since October 12th.
What a disaster! What a disaster!
Oh,
if their special teams wasn't good, they'd have 1 win. They'd have 1 win if their special teams wasn't good.
Can you imagine if they didn't beat the Falcons? The Falcons would be sitting right there with the real chance they win there this week.
The division, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this team would beat Denver too. Somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah. This Jet team's pathetic, and I think James Cook just runs all over them. And I don't. Even if Mitch Trubisky plays, I think this Bill offense has no problem because this Jets defense just they can't stop anything or anybody.
No, they can't. Nope. They can't. So yeah, it should be it should be Jets. It should be Jets going away. Yeah, it should be Bills going away. Even with Trubisky starting, it should be Bills going away against the Jets on Sunday. Now we will move on to the AFC South race, and we'll start with the Texans because the Texans need to win, and they need the Jags to lose to the Titans to win the division. So so for this game against the Colts, Riley Leonard is starting. He is starting for the Colts against the Texans, and I think that the Texans defense gives Riley Leonard trouble. They turn the ball over a couple times. All I think C.J. Stroud's got to do here is manage the game, and I got the Texans 23-10 over the Colts. But Justin, can the Colts get revenge from Week 13 and spoil the Texans' chance to win the AFC South?
No, I get Houston 2 here, 18-10. I think Stroud, he didn't play well after those first 2 drives last week, but I do think he plays a bit better this week. And I think for the Colts, they got to find a way to run the football. Someone in this one, maybe do some RPO stuff with Riley Leonard this week, try to open some things up for Jonathan Taylor, but I think Riley Leonard's going to be scrambling a lot this week, trying to get away from Houston's pass rush this week, and I think he's going to struggle. And I think this is a tough first start to throw him in here. But you guys see what you have, and this is be a great test for Riley Leonard to see what he's got. So I'm not expecting a lot here, and I'm expecting Houston to control this game and get the win.
All righty, we got the Jags trying to win the AFC South as they host the Titans in Jacksonville, and I think the Jags win this one easy. I got the Jags going away. They blew out the Titans in Week 13. I think they blow them out here. I got the Jags going away, winning 31-10. But Justin, can the Titans pull off a crazy upset and ruin the Jags' chances to win the division?
No, I got Jacksonville too here, 27-13. Titans have played better. They've looked, capable the last couple of weeks. So maybe Cam Ward and the offense can make a couple of plays here to keep it close. But the way Trevor Lawrence has been playing in that defense, the way they've stepped up of late, I think this is probably Cam Ward, maybe one of his worst games that we've seen out of him, in quite a while. So I do think Jacksonville kind of cruises here. I think they take care of business and they win this game comfortably.
Alrighty, the Commanders head to Philadelphia to face the Eagles, and I think the Eagles win this one. I think they win it easily because I think they're going to keep their starters in because I think Dan Campbell's team, because they're fighting for the 2 seed with the Bears, but Dan Campbell, his team, they're not going to lay down against the Bears. They will not lay down. Dan Campbell's team will not lay down. So I think the Eagles will be forced to keep their starters in, and that's why I think the Eagles cruise here and win 27-10. Justin, I assume you got the same.
Yeah, I got the Eagles here, 2016. I'm gonna say they fight this one. I know Josh Johnson now, so I don't know if they get the 16 points. I was thinking maybe Mariota would give it a go this week, but he's not. So I could see him struggling a little bit more this week. But this Philly offense has been a mess all year. They've really struggled. And again, you had 11 yards in the second half last week. You still win. You didn't have one completion. I do think Washington fights and tries to keep this thing interesting, but I do think Philly does enough here to get the win.
Yeah, I agree. I think Philly will win this game and have a chance to get the 2 seed because the Lions take on the Bears. Let me tell you one thing: even the Lions are banged up. They're not going to lay down on Sunday. They crushed the Bears in Week 2, but it's been the 2 teams have gone in 2 different directions since then. Because the Lions looked like one of the best teams in the NFC. They've been a very average team this year, and the Bears started 0-2. But now they're 11-5 and looked really. So Caleb looked great on Sunday night. So Ben Johnson has been that loss has really been. It was a loss for Detroit, but it's really been a game for Chicago. So, but in this game, I think that continues. I think Chicago's Caleb Williams plays really well, throws a couple touchdown passes. The Lions are there; they compete. But at the end of the day, I got the Bears clinching the number 2 seed. I got the Bears winning 27-20. But Justin, can the Lions sweep the Bears and knock them out of the number 2 seed?
No, I got Chicago here as well, 24-21. You probably remember a couple years ago, it was that Sunday night against the Packers on Week 18, and Dan Campbell, they were out of it, and they
Yeah,
did everything that they could, and
they,
they knocked Green
yeah,
Bay out. So
exactly. So they're going to be playing hard,
yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I expect them to come out and give it everything that they got this week, try to knock Chicago off with that two line there. But I do expect Caleb Williams to play pretty well this week. Detroit. I know they're in Detroit, but they are used to the dome. They don't usually play in a ton of these cold weather games here. And I think Caleb Williams protects the football here again because the Bears defense do force turnovers every week. I think they get one or two this week, and I think that's the difference in the game. And I do think Chicago ends up getting this one a close one.
All righty, we move on to an NFC West matchup in LA as the Rams take on the Cardinals. And I think the Rams bounce back this week. Adams might not play, but I think they bounce back this week and win by 2 scores. I got the Rams 31-17 over the Cardinals. Justin, who you got?
Yeah, I got LA as well, 30-17. Cardinals have lost 13-14. I think the Rams bounce back after a poor performance last night. I think Stafford gets it rolling. I think Puka Nacua has a big game. I think their running attack does whatever they want, and I think defense plays better this upcoming week. So I like the Rams here to win by 2 scores.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Rams win by 2 scores, and they get into the playoffs as the fifth or sixth seed. We got a matchup in Cincinnati between the Browns and the Bengals. And the real storyline going into this game is Myles Garrett trying to break Michael Strahan and T.J. Watt's record to try to get the all-time sack record. He needs 1 sack to get it. He's trying to break the all-time sack record. He's tied it at 20. I think he's got 22 and a half. I think he's tied it. You get to 23 and a half if he gets it. So, but for the game, I think Joe Burrow's playing. I think he plays well. I think it's close and competitive. But I'm going to go Bengals here, 24-17. Justin, who you got here?
Yeah, I got the Bengals 21-20. I do think Garrett breaks the record this week. I do think he gets a sack or 2 against his poor Bengals off at the line here. And I do think Shedeur plays well enough in this one. I think they keep it close, but I do think he makes a turnover or 2 in this one. And I got the Bengals pulling out a close one here on Sunday.
Yeah, that actually was going to be my next question. Is Myles Garrett going to break the record? And you said it. You said he was, and I agree with you. I think he is going to break the sack record this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's been so dominant this year, and he's been a huge part of that Cleveland team, and that defense has been one of the better ones for most of the year. So, I think he'll get it. I know this. Steelers are trying really hard for him not to get it last week, and it costed him. And I could see the Bengals trying to do the same thing this week, but I do think Garrett against that poor offensive line is able to get the Burrow at least once.
All righty, Cowboys head to the Meadowlands to take on the Giants. The Cowboys take on the Giants at MetLife Stadium this week. And I know the Giants played well last week, but Dak Prescott is own the Giants, and I think he throws 2 or 3 touchdown passes in this game. I think they're able to run the ball with Javonte Williams. I think Jackson Dart will play well, but I think Dak Prescott will outplay him, and Dak will continue his ownership of the Giants. Cowboys finish 8-1. Giants finish 3-14. I got the Cowboys here, 31-24. Justin, who you got here?
Yeah, I got Dallas 20-23. I think Dak Prescott, you mentioned that he's been awesome with the Giants, and that continues this week. I think he does whatever he wants against his defense. I do think Jackson Dart plays decent this week, and I do think they move the ball against a poor Dallas defense. But I take that Dallas defense to get a big stop late in this one to win the game and to finish off the Giants in their season.
And the big question when you talk about the Giants is, should Joe Schoen be gone as the general manager? Is Joe Schoen going to be gone as the GM? From the reports I'm hearing, from Ian Rappaport saying there's a good chance he stays till the draft. From the reports I'm hearing, I think it's 50-50. But I think it's 50-50, but he absolutely should be gone. There's no question Joe Schoen should be fired. There's no question. I mean, you have two. If he stays on as GM, if they rehire him as GM, the Giants aren't a serious organization. If they keep Joe Schoen as the GM, I mean, you're probably going to have back-to-back 3-win seasons. How do you keep the GM? I know they got rid of the head coach. How do you keep the GM after back-to-back 3-win seasons? That makes no sense. So There's no way Joe Shane should be back as Giants GM. I mean, I know Rappaport's saying he'll be there till the draft, but there's no way he should be there. He should be the Giants general manager. After on Monday, he should be fired.
Yeah, he should be fired. But yeah, it sounds like he's 50-50. And what would the point of keeping him until the draft? So that means he does free agency.
Yeah, I know that's the other thing. Yeah,
like
but I think the only reason of keeping him there, and you've seen this with other organizations, keeping him there till the draft is that a lot of his scouts, because if they fire him, it's tough to fire all the scouts before the draft. They have to keep the scouts. You have to keep the scouts there, and a lot of the scouts will get fired at the end of the draft. Their year ends. The scouts' year ends at the end of the draft. So it does make sense to keep him there. But the issue is keeping him is he's going to have to go through another free agency period, which he has not been good in free agency at all.
No, he hasn't, and it's his last couple of drafts even like it haven't been. They've hit on a couple guys, but it's not like they've hit home run like getting the Evan Neal one. Like you Brian Dable was really the head of the Jackson Dart one. Malik Neighbors fell in your lap. I know Wendell's has had his moments, but like it's not like he's killed it in the draft either. So, and those scouts have killed it. So, I guess that makes sense. But like, man, then then that new GM has to come in with the old. It just doesn't make sense. It just I get why they would do it, but it causes more of a headache. But yeah, and and especially too because that means the GM that comes in April didn't pick that coach, so now that's an issue. So I agree with you. Like he should be gone, but yeah, it just causes more headaches. I feel like you keep them on, but yeah, if the Giants are in a series organization, they keep them.
No way, absolutely not. And you brought it up the head coach. He brought up the head coach. I mean, if you're a head coach, Joe Shane's got one more year left on his deal after this. If you're a head coach and you know that they're not going to get the best, if they keep Joe Shane, they're not getting the best candidate because no candidate's going to come to a team with a GM that's lost. It's only one that's won 3 games back-to-back years and is on a 1-year deal. So if you're a head coach, the GM could you're not going to go to a place where the GM can get fired the next year. So they're not. If they keep Shane, there's no way they're going to get a good head coaching candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very hard to get one. And I know you mentioned Harbaugh, and that would be a great one. But yeah, like why would Harbaugh come here if he knows the GM might be gone next year? Like there's probably a better situation for him. You're more than likely going to get, if it's true that Shane stays on, and yeah, he might be gone. You're going to get some guys that probably finish, down in the bottom at some other spots for head coaching jobs that, end up wanting because they just want that one shot. So. Yeah, it'd be very difficult to bring in a head coach if you keep Joe Shane around here. So that'd be a tough thing for you as a Giant fan because it won't be great because it'd be a bad decision by the Giants.
It'd be a terrible decision. And you bring up the draft. Yeah, there have been the Wandale Robinsons, Cam Scadaboos. There have been some good. I'll give it to him. There have been some good draft picks, but there was a disaster. His second year. That 2023 draft class was a disaster. It was a disaster. Deontay Banks, John Michael Schmitz, and Jalen Hyatt, those first 3 picks were an absolute disaster. They were terrible. And most of the 2022 draft wasn't that good. And then you get to the whole when he embarrassed the organization with the Saquon situation. He completely embarrassed them, referring to Saquon Barkley as a $12 million back. And then he goes down to Philly and he wins a Super Bowl. So there's no way. If as we said, if they keep him, they're not a serious organization, and they're not going to get a good head coaching candidate. I guarantee you that.
No, they won't because they won't. And yeah, the Barkley thing for that to be on live, for that to be a television show for that to be in Hard Knocks too was such a bad look for Shane. And after what Barkley did at Philly last year, that should have cost him a job right then and there. Might well this year, but it sounds like it's 50-50 right now. So you don't know. But yeah, like that was a disgrace. Yeah, some of his drafts have not been great. He's hit on a couple, but like even the ones he's hit on, like Neighbors fell in your lap. Dart was a Dayball one. Like it's not like
Carter fell in our lap.
Yeah, Carter too. That would yeah. So it's not like he's drafted. It's not Cam Scadaboos been really good. Obviously he's injured now, but like it sounds like he's found like that great kind of that great diamond in the first round or second round. Like it's not like he's kind of found a ton of those guys. So I think he should be gone. I'm with you because yeah, you guys are in a serious way. You keep him around because the team's only gotten worse. Like his best team was mostly
Gettleman's
Gettleman guys. So.
guys. Gettleman's guys. That was his best team, and the team has progressively gotten worse from 9-7-1
Yeah.
to 6-11 to 3-14, and probably 3-14 this year again. So yeah, there's no way. By Monday, he needs to be. They need to move on from him. They absolutely need to move on from him. Get a new head coach in here. Get a new GM in here. Because if you don't, you're going to waste a really good talent in Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
you absolutely will. And then you'd absolutely lose. Yeah, and then I know there's the discussion too of maybe the Giants would. Well, actually, no, that's actually you guys won't have the first overall pick now, but like even that, I mean,
there still is a chance.
Oh yeah, the Raiders could. The Raiders, the Raiders always find ways to screw it up. So yeah, I guess it's not out of the question yet. So yeah, I'm with you. I think he should be gone by Monday, but you never know.
Without question, let's go. Without question, he should be gone by Monday. But now moving on to the Raiders and the Raiders. Speaking of the Raiders, if they lose this game to the Chiefs, they will secure the number 1 overall pick. And this is a game where it's possible they could win. And if they win and the Giants lose, the Giants go back to getting that number 1 overall pick. So there is a chance that the Giants could still get the number 1 overall pick. And I definitely don't want Joe Shea making that pick. But for this game, I think that the Chiefs, they're playing a third-string quarterback. They hung in there with the Broncos. I do think Andy Reid pulls out this win, and the Chiefs win 20-13, and the Raiders secure the number 1 overall pick. But Justin, you think the Raiders are going to secure the number 1 overall pick on Sunday and lose this game?
I think so. I think Chiefs got them 17-14. I hope it's being a fan of that Raider fans. I hope for their sake they are able to get the number 1 pick and they do tank right for the first time. I know they bench Crosby and they bench Bauer. They said they're hurt. They're both hurt. So
they tanked that game. Come on, they tanked. They tanked. And listen, no, I'm not saying that Crosby and Bowers weren't battling through injuries, but they conveniently shut those guys down right before the Giants game.
Yep. Oh yeah. So like at least the Raiders are trying to take the right way for the first time in quite a while. So good on them here. But I think in this one too, like the Chiefs with potentially being Travis Kelce's last game, I could see them targeting him 15 times in this one, and he does have a big game. So I don't think the Raiders really care much. Do the Chiefs do what the Bills like? If you're the Chiefs, you really care to get the first pick. Like I know last year the Bills lost intentionally so that Patriots wouldn't get the number 1 pick, but like
I think the Chiefs are going to make some moves. They're going to make some moves. I think the Chiefs could if it comes down to it, and say the Giants lose and it comes down to it, I wouldn't be surprised. Like it's an 80% chance. I think it should be a higher percent chance than that because Dak owns the Giants, and it's not completely out of the question that the Raiders could beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, like with third-string quarterback, they could. I just think the Raiders try to lose more than the Chiefs do in this one, so I'm gonna be shocked. That we'll see. But I do think the Raiders finally tank right for once, and they do get that number 1 pick. But I won't be shocked they win it. Be the most Raider thing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll wrap up talking about the Packers and the Vikings. Meaningless game for the Packers. They're already locked in the 7th seed. Meaningless game for the Vikings, even though they're playing pretty well. They've won 4 straight going into the game, and I think they make it 5 straight. I think Brian Flores. I think Clinton Toon's going to start. Brian Flores' defense is going to dominate. Your man Max Brosmer is just going to manage the game, and I got the Vikings here 17-10. Justin, who you got?
Yeah, I got the Vikings 16-14. Ugly one. Yeah, Brosmer. They gotta win, but did not play well at all. I think he does enough this week because Green Bay's defense right now is just with all the injuries is a mess right now. So I think Brian Flores that defense does enough. Hey, that's Flores might. What about Flores the Giants? Because there's not going to be a ton of teams that want him.
There's no way that's going to happen because of the lawsuit. There's no way that's happening. There's no way.
And Jason
McCourty, I think it is. And Jason McCourty said that was actually his pick. He was on Get Up. That was his pick. But yeah, no way. There's no way that's happening. No way that's happening with the lawsuit. No way. No way he's going.
All right. I forgot.
No, if there wasn't this lawsuit
that
happened,
hire him in a heartbeat.
If Belichick didn't text him like that, congratulating him on getting the job 4 years ago, I think he'd have to be a great candidate because he's from, he's got the roots. He's from the New York area, and he dominates the Giants' offense. They never scored an offensive touchdown against him in the last 3 games he went against them. But yeah, there's no way he's getting that job.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know I lost you so hot. Yeah, because he cleaned up the culture in there right away. That
Oh
you
yeah.
know for that for a fact.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's
because
what
he
the Giants
did a
need,
good job
you
in
know.
Miami. He did a pretty good job in
Oh yeah.
Miami. You could argue did as good of a job as Mike McDaniel. He probably did a better job
Oh
than
yeah.
Mike McDaniel. But the thing is he just didn't get along with the quarterback.
Yeah, which, now he understands that a little bit more. He's learned his
Yeah,
lesson. So,
I think so.
you know,
I think he'll be a good candidate. I think he'll be a good head
oh
coaching
yeah.
candidate. All I just don't want him doing is going to the Cowboys as their defensive coordinator. That's all I don't want.
Oof. Yeah, that would hurt. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
hurt. So
yeah.
he's really gonna move on from what's his face? Eberflus? Jerry?
Oh,
Jerry's been giving the
there's
boys
no way
confidence all
This
year.
will be Eberflus's last game on Sunday. There's no way Eberflus will be fired by Monday, guaranteed. Guaranteed, he'll be fired by Monday.
He's given the vote of confidence what, like 6 times this year? It feels like
Oh
every week
God,
he's giving
he's
them
gone.
another
He's
vote of
gone.
confidence.
He's gone. There's no way. There's no way they're keeping him. There's no way Eberflus is keeping him. Schottenheimer will force Jerry to get rid of him. I don't think Schottenheimer wants him either. So yeah, there's no way Eberflus stays. But yeah, Flores. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what he does and see what he does this cycle because I feel like he's got a chance to get he could get a coaching job with the job he's done with this Vikings defense.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I get why the Dolphins fired him. I didn't totally think it was the right decision because he cleaned up the culture down there. But yeah, I think if you want somebody that's gonna come in there, clean up the culture, that's gonna be a little bit old school. I think Brian Flores is a great fit, and I think it's Giants desperately need. The Raiders could use a guy like that as well. So there's a couple teams that could use a Brian Flores as a head coach. But yeah, that lawsuit out there, it's probably tougher. NFL would not. Goodell would probably not approve of him being a head coach.
Yeah, probably. We'll see. We'll see. Probably not. But that's going to wrap it up this week. No, that's going to wrap up this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. But we'll be back in about 20 minutes previewing the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. So make sure you tune in for that.